Welcome to the Women Matter podcast with your host, Marline C. Duroseau. Join us as we delve into all things women, from the complexities of fertility to empowering discussions on femininity and confidence. Our segments shine a light on the journey of family building, offering awareness and support to those navigating this path. We're here to tackle impactful topics crucial to women's lives, empowering you to be unapologetically yourself while embracing your femininity. Tune in for insightful conversations and inspiration to live boldly in every aspect of your life. Because here on the Women Matter podcast, every woman's story matters. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Women Matter podcast. I am your host, Marline C. Duroseau. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I'm so excited actually to talk about the topic that we're going to cover today. In today's episode, we're going to dig into whether these symptoms that seemingly mimic the change of life happen to be perimenopause or pregnancy. Yes, you would think that after going through that original change of life as a woman when you're much younger, normally women experience their first change of life between the ages of 9 through, I've seen women start their menses through age 16. So between 9 and 16, your body is going on all of these ups and downs and just trying to get itself situated because of the onset of your menses, otherwise known as your period. Yes, but guess what? What if I told you that when you're on the other side, right, of that menstrual cycle and you're getting older and you're thinking, oh, one of these days I won't have to deal with all of the treasures that came along with having a cycle? You would think that it would be something to look forward to, because for many women, oftentimes having their cycle is very debilitating, to say the least. Some people have discomfort. Some people have lots of pain. There's tons of fatigue. Some people throw up. Some people are just really sick when it comes to that time of the month. So as we get older and our brains, no one really prepared you for what actually you'll be going through when you get older and you are ready for that period to stop, right? When your menstrual cycle doesn't come anymore. The only thing we know is, oh, if we indeed had a rough cycle, it's going to be over sooner or later. But guess what? That's not often the case. And it's really tricky. And I wanted to make a video about that because from personal experience, I've realized and actually acknowledged how my body, I've been feeling different since maybe a couple years after I've had my last son. And I just couldn't put my finger on it to figure what is wrong. Something just doesn't feel right. I don't feel like myself. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And interestingly enough, as I've been navigating these symptoms that I've been experiencing through this new change in life, I stumbled upon an article on MSN, and it was written by a company or a magazine, Lifestology. And it's funny because oftentimes I say, whenever we think about something or say something on the phone, before you know it, it comes up on the internet. So it just so happened that I was thinking about these symptoms that I was having, and I stumbled across this Lifestology article, and I want to take some pieces of it, making sure I give them their credit, but also adding in my personal experience of what I've been dealing with through this phase of life. And to be honest, I do feel and believe that I am in the perimenopausal stage. And what the perimenopausal stage is, perimenopause marks a significant transition in a woman's life that is often signaled by the end of your reproductive years and the onset of menopause, right? So let me repeat that. Perimenopause makes a significant transition in a woman's life by signaling the end of her reproductive years, meaning when you're in perimenopause, you're in that stage where the chances of you being able to get pregnant are being reduced, and it's starting up with the onset of menopause. And by the time you hit full-blown menopause, well, at that point, there is no more period, so that's totally the end of a woman's reproductive cycle. So as it relates to perimenopause, many of the complicated, confusing, frustrating, to say the least, symptoms that accompany this transition, and it's just something that many women don't know how to identify. They don't know when to recognize it. They don't really understand or know how to deal with it. It's a really tricky stage in a woman's life. And for me personally, I really felt as though maybe I was, losing my mind because I just couldn't pinpoint why I wasn't feeling well, but then I just didn't feel like myself. So what ends up happening is that when you're experiencing perimenopause, women often experience changes in their hormones, mainly estrogen and progesterone. And those changes in hormones, meaning the fluctuation of them, sometimes they plummet, which means they get really low. Sometimes they skyrocket, they go really high. They're just not balanced. And due to the fluctuation and the imbalance of the hormones, women are presented with different symptoms. Some of these symptoms, for the most part, a lot of what women experience is irregular periods to hot flashes, mood swings, and even changes in your body composition. Now, let me repeat that. It's changes in the period, right? The cycle of your menstrual, how it comes on, how long it lasts, things of that nature. Hot flashes, yes, hot flashes, and mood swings. The issue with those particular symptoms, which is what also makes them a little tricky, is that they often mimic the regular menstrual symptoms, what people have come to know as PMS. So I would, describe these perimenopausal symptoms as PMS, but on steroids. And there's no consistency to how these symptoms present. There's no consistency to how long they last. There's no, pattern in terms of what symptoms you'll experience one month. You may not get them the next month. It's just a mess. And imagine in the meantime, you're dealing with a human specimen, which is our body, that has to try to keep up with all of these changes and fluctuations. So it is definitely a tricky time in a woman's life when you're dealing with perimenopause, to be able to identify those symptoms and speak with your healthcare professional, and definitely be open to speaking to someone, and go to someone that actually listens and want to hear you out. And I'll share my experience based on where I am today in hopes that that would help the women out there as well, or even someone else that you may know. So to begin with, I'm going to tell you that, I had a little bit of a scare, full transparency. Actually, this past last cycle, I am 43 years old now, and it's a little bit tricky because, like I said, I've been experiencing and witnessing a change in my body since maybe a couple years after I had my last son. And I have to tell you that as much as I've expressed that I feel that something's different, I feel not like myself. And some people that I spoke to, the minute I started feeling like this, I might have been 39, 40-ish maybe. And one of the first things or comments that I often hear is, well, you're too young. You're not going into menopause. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I started my cycle really early. So what do you think? No, 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 it's not menopause. We need to figure out what it is. So, and at that point, I never even knew there was a transition period that actually had a name, and that's what perimenopause was. So as I started to research my symptoms and read a little bit more, find other videos, just try to educate myself, I found out about this time frame that's in between the onset of your menstrual and in between stopping, which is menopause, and it's called perimenopause. And I said, yes, yes, that's what I have. That's what I have. That's what I have. So then I would talk to people again, the same people, and say, okay, well, maybe I'm not going into menopause. Maybe I'm not going into menopause, but I think I'm in perimenopause. Oh, no, you're too young. Okay. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to bring this up anymore. I'm going to wait and speak with a healthcare professional. And in the meantime, I'm going to listen to my body and track the symptoms and maybe try to pinpoint the onset of certain symptoms, how long they last, and just to kind of like put some data together so that when I finally do speak with my doctor, I can have like a track record, something that I could share to go back, because oftentimes you think you're going to remember, but unfortunately you don't. So let's get into the good stuff. I want to talk a little bit about what some of these symptoms are. One of the main first symptoms of the perimenopause stage is irregular periods. Yes, And I'll use myself as an example. Definitely leave the comments and, add in your experience, and maybe you can relate and share with others as well. But for my experience, the irregular periods, my cycle was normally every 26 to 28 days, almost like clockwork. From the time that I started my cycle, it was pretty regular when it came to how often it came on. And I have to tell you, this scare that I had more recently is because for the past maybe couple years, my cycle, I've seen it come as quick as on day 23, meaning it's coming a whole, 3 to 4 days before it's due. And this past cycle was one that went out the longest. So it didn't start until day 36. So imagine if you're someone who your cycle normally starts on day 26 or day 27, and each day is going by and you're waiting on a cycle and it hasn't started. And you start to think, oh my gosh, well, what's happening? Am I pregnant? Like what? I mean, I'm 43 years old. Like, I waited all these years to have kids. I had to have infertility treatments, IVF, and could it really be that it happened on its own, now when I'm already basically in my brain done with my family building journey, or so I thought. So irregular periods is definitely something that kind of signifies perimenopause. And based on my experience, I've seen some cycles and heard from other women where it's as short as 21 days. And it can be as long as, maybe in my case, 36 days, maybe 40. Some months it comes on day 25. Some days it comes on day 29, day 31. It's just all over the place. And for me, it's been a little bit irregular like that for the past 2 years, if I can think back and say so. So irregular periods, that's one of them. The next one, hot flashes. Okay. First of all, I never even knew what a hot flash was until actually when I was undergoing fertility treatment. I remember with the medications that I was taking and being injected with, you guys, I would be so hot. Like the AC wasn't cool enough, cold water didn't help. It was just horrible. And then I realized that it was one of the side effects of the hormones that were in the injections that I was taking to try to start my family. So, and I remember when I experienced that, I said, oh boy, that's one thing that I never looked forward to whenever I was undergoing IVF, because the medication and the hot flashes were just horrible. So by the time I stopped my family building journey and I'm done, I haven't really had hot flashes, except let's go back a year now. So for the past year, you guys, I'm hot. And I always had hyperhidrosis, which was excessive sweating. But my excessive sweating was more my feet, the palms of my hands, my underarms. That's always where it was localized. I never had any other issues, right? So about a year ago, I started to experience, just when I tell you sweating everywhere, it could be winter, fall, forget the summer. And full transparency, last year for Father's Day, and that's when I said, okay, something's going on. Last year for Father's Day, we were going out and taking out the dads, in our lives. So here I am. I have to tell you, if I could have put on my dress with no undergarments, that's what I would have done. From the time that it took me to get dressed, walk downstairs, and head to the car, I was drenched in sweat. It was just horrible. And that's daytime. Let's not talk about the nighttime sweat. It's where I like to use covers. A lot of women do. And there's no coverage. You have to take those things off because you're hot. And then there's no onset. It could be the slightest thing, and all of a sudden you're hot. And yeah, so the hot flashes, you see, I'm stressing on the hot flashes. It's really an issue. Some of the other symptoms, I'm just going to go down the line here, are sleep problems. I've suffered from insomnia, I want to say for a good 3 to 4 years now, and I really don't know how I've been functioning. But I never put two and two together that it was probably due to the change in the hormones that I was experiencing. But now that I realize that the sleep pattern disruption is on the list, I'm like, yes, that's me. It was so bad that the way I kept going and getting through my day was with caffeine. So we would make Cuban coffee at work, and basically it's a shot of espresso. And after sleeping maybe 2.5 hours overnight, I had to get up and do all of the things that women have to do every day. And there is no, okay, well, I'm sleepy, I didn't get enough sleep, I'm not going to get up. No, you got to get up. The alarm clock is up, got to get the kids ready for school, get them to the bus stop or take them to the school, get to work, function at my high performing job, very high stress, lots of responsibility, and just to get up and do it all over again, just not being able to sleep. And that really is, and was an issue for me. We'll talk about maybe in another video how I've gotten over that, but it's significantly better. I still have sleep disruption, but I can gladly say that I'm no longer suffering with insomnia, because it was really bad. Mood changes. Now, even as a young girl, when I would start my cycle, I never really experienced mood changes. But I have to tell you, my husband is who pointed that out to me maybe over the past 2 years. About maybe 18 months to 2 years ago, he said, yeah, I really noticed a change in your mood. And again, remember, guys, I'm still not putting two and two together that I may be going through the change, right? So mood swings are a problem. So now that and it didn't happen every cycle, which is why I guess I didn't pick up on it. It wasn't every single cycle. And sometimes it's before the onset of my cycle. Sometimes it's after, sometimes it's during. But once my husband pointed it out, I made it my business to be more mindful of my mood and try to, just kind of keep to myself and try to breathe and try to, be calm so that I don't, have to lash out at anyone that doesn't deserve it anyway, all because my moods are messed up. So be mindful of the mood changes as well. Increased PMS symptoms, which are some of the things that I just talked about. For me, it was lower back pain. I had an increase in lower back pain. And again, it wasn't every single month, but I did have some increased PMS symptoms. Weight gain is something else. I didn't really deal necessarily with the weight gain, but I did find that my body just really wasn't itself. I had more bloating that lasted a little longer. I maybe had some swelling. I was dealing with some water retention that would last a little bit longer. So I did notice that as well over the past couple years. Very, very much fatigued. Fatigue is one of those things that, mind you, and I also think I was fatigued because I also wasn't sleeping, right? Because you're tired, but you're unable to go to sleep. But the overall fatigue is just crippling. So be mindful of that particular symptom as well, and trying to figure out a way to squeeze in some rest will be beneficial, to doing so. Memory problems. Now, let me tell you, I consider myself a person that's highly intelligent, highly functional. When I tell you, you can't remember, and I don't mean can't remember like deep stuff. I'm talking the keys are in my hand. I thought I put them down. I'm rushing and ready to go. OMG, where are my keys? Tearing up the whole house looking for keys. Marlene, the keys are in your hand. Okay. Pick up my phone. Okay, I'm ready to do XYZ ABC. Pick up the phone. So who was I going to text? Oh, okay, well, I have to put the phone down because I don't remember. And then it comes back to me. I have to do it. So I also find that, and at one point, there were two things I thought that contributed to my memory lapse after having the baby, because when I was pregnant, I did experience a little bit less of a capability to remember, but it eventually came back. And then when I caught COVID 3 years ago, I think it really affected me as well. And I was having a hard time remembering and just being in a foggy space, like not having a lot of clarity. But I am happy to say that the memory thing is not really happening a lot anymore. So I try to do little tricks to trigger my memory. So things to help me remember. So I write everything down. Like I was telling you, maybe in another video, that I try to have my journal with me where I'm writing something down real quick so I don't forget, or I put it in my phone in either the calendar or the task list to make sure I don't forget. So just trying to find ways to work on the memory, because as we get older, our memory doesn't function the same anyway, but with this perimenopause time frame, it doesn't help the situation. Headaches. Headaches have become a problem. I was diagnosed with migraines, I want to say in 2016, 2017, and I've had what was called menstrual migraines. And at that point, I never really had the actual headaches. And they told me, the neurologist told me that my type of headaches are one of the hardest to treat because I don't have the pain with the headache. So what I got was a lot of aura, not being able to see, vision impairment, not being able to see well or seeing spots, and just having nerve and sensory issues, carpal tunnel, from being pregnant, just pinched nerves, having tingling and numbness, and all of that comes in line with the joint and muscle pain. My knees would hurt, my shoulders. There was one shoulder I couldn't even sleep. I mean, when I tell you a mess, I know I sound like I'm complaining, but I've been going through it. And I'm like, somebody has to, like, no one tells you this stuff, which is why I want to make this video to be like, okay, you're not going crazy. These are all symptoms. I'm telling you, shoulder hurt, my joints, my muscle, couldn't sleep well, just a mess. So yes, that's another symptom of perimenopause, the joint and muscle pain, in addition to headaches. In my case, they were migraines with no headache. So I've been working with my neurologist and primary care physician in a way to help keep my symptoms at bay, because having that really affected, and I'm jumping ahead, my anxiety and panic. And it got to the point where I couldn't really drive because I was afraid that these symptoms would happen while I was driving with my children in the car. So it's just a whole mess. Okay, but I'm better now, thank goodness. The next one is the changes in the skin and hair. Now, my skin, I haven't really witnessed a lot of changes in my skin. I've always had hormonal acne, the type of acne that on the onset of my cycle, right before my period, I would get the big bumps that are under your skin that don't really come to a head. You're not supposed to pop them anyway, but sometimes us women, we can't help ourselves. So I never really got those, but what I would get is like, okay, you could see something is coming up, so that hasn't really changed. I don't really get them often. I've been really happy with my skin. I try to make sure I hydrate. I try to use top of the line skincare products, take care of what I eat so that it can manifest in my skin, especially with the water, drinking a lot of water. However, my hair is another story. So I know that I started to lose a lot of my hair after I gave birth to my last son. And I had to use, more natural ingredients. My hair is natural now. I don't put a relaxer in it or anything to straighten my hair. And I found that using hair growth oils, natural supplements like aloe, avocado, castor oil, things of that nature was really helping to bring the texture of my hair and the fullness of my hair back, because a lot of my hair, you guys, it would just, and I attributed that to after having given birth, and for all of my children, it was the same way. I'd have a head full of hair, and then maybe when they turned, 7 months, 9 months, it would just come out by the droves. Like, it was just horrible. So we have a better relationship with my hair now. We, meaning my hair and I, right, have a better relationship. So I'm just trying to do more natural things, let it grow itself out and style it, and more protective styles to help protect it. But you can and will notice a change in your hair due to the hormones, right, that are shifting and changing. And a lot of the hormones affect our hair and hair follicles as well. Night sweats is the same with the hot flashes. I kind of covered that already. Lots of night sweats. And again, it doesn't happen every night, and it doesn't happen, maybe it'll happen 2 nights in a row, and then the rest of the month I'm fine. Sometimes it's a week in a row, and I would have to change my nightgowns. I can't wear them, more than one night anyway. Just a mess. So night sweats is definitely a signal that your body's hormones are changing, and causing you to have that symptom. Irregular heartbeats. I don't think I've experienced a lot of irregular heartbeats. I feel that with me, if I was having an issue, I thought it would be more attributed to maybe my anxiety or me feeling like I'm about to panic. So whenever I do feel, a way, I kind of stop and just take deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And I kind of do that 3 or 4 times just to make sure I'm in tune with my body and what I'm feeling, because then if I do feel that maybe my heartbeat is irregular or I can't breathe or I'm having shortness of breath, I would definitely let my family know or drive myself to the hospital or something, because that's something we're all afraid of, having heart issues. So I don't take that lightly, but definitely be mindful of that if you feel like you're having irregular heartbeats. Changes in cholesterol levels. Listen to me. The cholesterol, what is that? I've never had that. Every time I went to the doctor every year for my physical, never had an issue. All of a sudden at age 40, 41, oh, Marlene, your cholesterol levels are a bit elevated. Okay, excuse me. What do you mean? I'm not eating anything really, that bad. And we always say that bad. But I know that my downfall is ice cream. I have a sweet tooth, and I am an ice cream lover. So because now my cholesterol is looking to be an issue, well, it's not really where it's an issue, but the doctors have noticed the increase in it. So I have to be more mindful in what I eat, making sure I exercise so that I don't have heart issues attributed to cholesterol as I get older, because heart disease is one of the number one killers of women, and we don't want that. We want to live and we want to be healthy. Increased anxiety or panic. I've probably mentioned that 3 or 4 times already. That in itself tells you what you need to know. Just the irregular things that are going on with your hormones, your levels, and you tend to overthink or worry or try to predict things, and basically already put yourself in a state of something bad that happened that hasn't even happened. So it's definitely a lot of mental stuff going on that gets affected, which then causes the anxiety or panic. So for that, I really highly suggest you see your healthcare professional, because it's not something you want to play with, and it's not something that you want to take lightly. Because in my case, when I thought I was kind of like, oh my gosh, what's going on, it affected my ability to drive. And I have to tell you, it's not a good feeling. Okay, that's another video, another day. But increased anxiety and panic, definitely get that checked out. I already mentioned bloating. That was some of my PMS symptoms that were more advanced. I experienced that. The bloating, water retention, digestive issues. I've never had acid reflux before. After I was pregnant with my twins, I developed acid reflux, but after I delivered them, it went away. So then I developed acid reflux again after the baby, but then it kind of stayed, and then I had it under control for a little bit. It got to the point where I had to go to an ENT, just a whole mess. But now it's a little bit better and under control. So that sometimes has to do with the perimenopausal symptoms, with the bloating, the digestion. Things don't go down the same. Things you used to eat that didn't affect you now become an issue. So you want to definitely try to avoid salty foods. You try to avoid foods that will cause you to be gassy. Reduce any oils and things that are unhealthy, that process that you're putting in your food as much as possible. We're of Haitian descent, so a lot of our food is cooked naturally, and with that, we like to spice the things a certain way, a lot of fried. But my whole family, our whole household, my parents, everybody has kind of changed the way we prepare our food. More baked food, less grease, olive oil, things of that nature, to try to incorporate a little bit more healthiness into the preparation of the food, so that it can reduce a lot of the bloating and indigestion and different issues that you have with food, and making sure you increase your water intake. Almost there, guys. Okay, the next one is vision changes. Okay, let me tell you guys about these vision changes. And the vision changes kind of just creep up on you, and I'm still actually dealing with that right now, so to speak. I've been wearing glasses since I was 9. I got my first pair of glasses, I think I was 9 or 10, but I know for sure I was in the 4th grade, right? So I've always been nearsighted and had astigmatism. Great, no problem. By the time I became 18, 19, I shifted from glasses to contacts. And my vision was so bad that I got into the habit of counting steps, and made it a routine. So the places that I would go often, like maybe from my bed to the bathroom, or from my car, if I parked at my mom's house, to the front steps. Anywhere that I would have to go and it's dark outside, and let's say I didn't have my glasses or I didn't have my contacts on, my memory served me well by remembering, okay, it should be approximately this amount of steps. I know that's crazy, right? But yes, that's what I had to do. That's how bad my vision was. And I realized after I had my twins, it got worse. Okay. And I said, okay, I'm going to give myself a gift and go and get LASIK surgery. So that's what I did in 2015 or 2016. It was my 35th birthday. I decided to go in and get LASIK surgery. And I have to tell you that it was one of the best decisions that I could have made for myself. Now, they did warn me that although you have LASIK, as your eye starts to get old, because everything in your body just gets old, you may have the need for reading glasses, things of that nature. But let me tell you, I'm not wearing glasses now. I don't wear contacts or anything like that. But for the past 2 years, when I've gone to my annual eye appointment, I went from needing no prescription, and I can see, 2015 to now I'm at 2020, right? And I have to wear glasses at night. So now what's happening is the glare from the lights at night driving feel like I can't see, and everything's blurry and just a mess. So I can attribute some of the vision changes to the changes in my hormones, because sometimes even during the day where I wouldn't wear glasses anyway, I would have to blink to make sure everything is clear, and then it gets back into focus. And sometimes I would just open my eyes and everything is perfectly clear. So I'm trying to track that to see what time of month it is when I experience the levels of non-clarity, and I'll try to see. But I think it has a lot to do with that, because almost every week I'm experiencing something different with my eyes. Thank goodness I can still see, but definitely there's been a change in my vision, just the ups and the downs and the clarity, non-clarity, but I can see, so that's all that matters. And my eyes are healthy, thank goodness. A couple more. Reduced bone density. So I have to make sure that women, we stay up on our calcium supplements and the vitamin D, because your bones and the density of your bones will be affected the older you get. I don't think that it's being an issue now for me, since I'm still only in my 40s, but I do know that it has the potential to become a big problem. So I'm making sure that I stay up on my calcium and your vitamin D for your bone, bone density, making sure those bones are strong, because when your bones lose their density, it can lead to osteoporosis. And if you have a fall, you may crack your bones, break your bones, fracture, and we definitely don't want that. And finally, one of the things that's on the list is changes in body odor. And it's funny because the body composition and the body odor are definitely a big, big, big thing that I've experienced. But I've experienced it in a way where I want to say it's more positive. Remember that hyperhidrosis I told you I had, where I would have sweaty hands and feet, sweaty underarms. I did so much for so many years trying to control that, and nothing I could do would help. I wasn't able to wear lotion. My husband would have to put lotion on for me, my mom, my sister, whoever was around, because I couldn't touch anything like that. And if I did, it was an immediate wash my hands with soap and water. And I learned that trick from my Uncle Gilbert, may he rest in peace, because the whole family kind of suffered from it. My brothers, my nieces, everybody. So my Uncle Gilbert suffered from it too. And he said, whenever you get like that, mama, just wash your hands with soap and water, and it kind of resets. So ever since I was a little girl, you'll always notice that, well, not you guys don't know, but I would always make sure that I can wash my hands, make sure they're nice and dry, and it helps reset. Because if not, literally, I would do like this, and water would just be everywhere. So I say that to say, look at what I'm going to do now. I can take some lotion, Jergens lotion, and I can do this. Now my husband says that he's probably going to invest in the stock of the company that sells lotion, because you guys, all I do all day, every day, even at work, even my staff at work, they buy me lotion for Christmas. Like I don't know if it's because now I feel like I was neglected all these years by not being able to wear lotion. I can put it on my hands. I put it on my feet. I can put my shoes on with no issues. That has changed for me something fierce. And another reason I didn't put on lotion was because, remember, if I would put on the lotion and they would trigger me to start sweating, and then my underarms would sweat too. So it took me years to find the right deodorant. And I was always carrying around, wipes, just making sure, because I was so subconscious about the body odor, sweating, things of that nature. But I'm happy to say, you guys, when I tell you, that's one thing that's been positive for me, and I pray to God that it doesn't change. but I'm able to use lotion. I don't sweat. I have hot flashes, like I told you guys, but those hot flashes are a wet bum. So under my bummy cheeks, it's sweating. My thighs are sweating. Under my boobs are sweating. My head is sweating. My neck is sweat. Like that's what I have. I don't have sweaty hands, feet. So I'll just be standing here nice and dry, right? In my extremities, no underarm sweat, nothing, but my body is drenched. So it's just amazing how much that has changed. And it's to the point where I was been able to switch over to natural deodorant. I was never able to do that before. I had to use an antiperspirant in order to try to control the body odor, the sweating, and everything like that. It was just a mess. So the changes in the body odor do indeed happen, but in my case, it's positive. So I'm super excited for that. And I'm not sure if I missed anything. I'm trying to think of everything. I think I kind of went through the list, and hopefully the examples that I've been providing you of my experience would help you be able to kind of pinpoint, you know, what's going on, how to tackle it. Maybe I'll make another video on how I deal with some of the symptoms that I experience. But for now, I just wanted to at least bring the symptoms to light so that you know that you're not crazy, you're not alone, you're not, you know, insane. Yes, your body is playing tricks on you. And no, you're not pregnant. I know I'm not pregnant. Thank goodness. It was perimenopause. So this time we're all just in that pickle where it was just a lot, right? So be patient, educate yourself, and be creative with your symptom management, right? It's really important. Remember, I told you when I started to notice a difference and everybody I would talk to would just tell me I'm too young. I took it upon myself to try to educate myself on what was going on with my body. So definitely educate yourself and be patient with yourself, because just like it took all those years to build you up to where you are, when that change starts to happen where things are slowing down, your body is like in confusion mode. It doesn't know what to do or what's happening or how to regulate itself that quickly because of the drastic changes that are taking place. And remember as well that each woman's journey, their experience, and their symptoms are unique. What may be an issue for me may not be an issue or present as an issue for someone else. Or we all may have the same symptoms, but the level of severity and the level of consistency may be different. So I give this video and talk about this as a way to not say this is it and that's all and how it can be. No, but just know that your journey is different, your symptoms are different, your experience will be different. And hopefully this video can help you kind of identify so you can start to map your way out of trying to help figure it out. So one of the things that I want to stress like 100% before I go is to be open to talking to your healthcare provider for accurate support and possible ways to treat you. And it's very important that you do that. I have to say that I have a lovely team of doctors between my neurologist helping to manage my migraine symptoms, my primary care physician, just making sure between my panic, anxiety, everything, my therapist is on board, and also my acupuncturist. So I have 4 practitioners that are on my team that care plan to make sure that I'm okay and everything that I'm going through can be handled and dealt with appropriately. So if one puts me on one certain type of treatment or protocol, the other one or the team is aware so that they don't have issues that contraindicative, right? Or contradict the treatment that the other one is trying to do. So everyone is working together in tandem to help treat the whole person, which is me, because a lot of the times going through this change is not easy. And, you know, I love that everybody works together to try to help me get the best treatment that I can. And I have to tell you, after not being able to sleep for a good 3 to 4 years, I'm finally on a regimen where I'm sleeping really well. And when I wake up, I'm not tired. And that in itself is just such a huge feat. I'm able to drive and not be afraid. I'm always a cautious driver, but with my children in the car, I'm extra cautious. And now I don't have that fear. So I'm praying that that stays and doesn't go away, because that really impacted me last year when I was having the driving issues. Working on my cholesterol and trying to be healthy with everything that I have going on. That has helped because I'm being more mindful of being active, trying to exercise, you know, doing everything that I need to do so that I can figure out a way to remain healthy for my children. And yeah, so I'm really excited. Right now I currently do acupuncture every other month. So I do acupuncture twice a month to help regulate my PMS symptoms, my perimenopausal symptoms, help keep my migraine symptoms at bay, while I also take natural and prescribed medication just to help my levels and everything be okay. And one of the things that it's important about talking to your healthcare provider, there's been such a stigma on hormone replacement. I'm not on any hormone replacement now, but that's why I'm making sure I track my symptoms so that I can kind of know where I am and see what it's doing to me, because I really don't like feeling like I'm having an outer body experience. So if you get to the point where you're feeling like that, definitely speak with your healthcare provider, have them run all of the blood tests. That's what they did for me too. All of my blood levels were ran, the whole panel, so that all of the practitioners can log into their little system and look me up to see, what my latest test results are. And should it come to the point where I may need hormone replacement therapy, well, maybe it's something that I'll definitely not turn a blind eye on or just shut down. I would be willing to listen and hear what they have to say about using that, because you have to have some sense of comfortability and peace in your body. And what perimenopause does is just a mess, because some women I've spoken to had no issues. They just no longer had a period and it was no problem. Some women suffered for years. Some people are in menopause and they're still suffering. And that's another hurdle to jump when you get to that point. So whew, that was a lot, right? I'm so sorry the video was so long, but hopefully you can gain some insight from the video and was able to learn some stuff, and just definitely track everything to determine whether or not you're pregnant, because sometimes those babies creep up on you in your 40s, but oftentimes it's the perimenopause, and just being mindful of your body, mindful of those changes, and just making sure that you take care of you by investing in you and getting the help that you need. All right. So for more information, or if you have any comments or questions, please contact me on my website, www.mcdbe.com. Also on IG, MCDBE. Definitely take care of yourself. Until next time. And remember, woman, you matter.
Audio Jungle.